recent discovery and subsequent destruction of an illegally constructed airstrip in the Oriala area does not point to a lack of capability by the Guyana Defence Forces Air Corps. Rather, it indicates a failure in policy by government, according to head of Maritime Airways, Captain Gerald Gavaya.
The GDF do have two fixed-wing airplanes, serviceable fixed-wing airplanes, the Skybank and the White Hawk. And that those planes should be used in support of Army and police operations. What we are seeing every day is this continuation of the flawed policy of having these airplanes out there doing tourism flights, going and sitting in the ground kiteshore, sitting in the ground Orinduk, and support and flying for miners and competing with the private sector. And what it is in fact doing, I mean, it is such a misguided policy, because while you may be earning a few dollars on a kiteshore flight, you're spending millions of dollars on sending troops over land to go and destroy an airstrip.
Captain Gavaya, former Army officer, said that GDF's Air Corps needs to focus on its original mandate.
I flew Major General Josing sitting in the back seat of my plane, and he sat with a map when he was brigade commander. And he would sit there, and we would fly over this country, line by line, and he would sit there with his map and do the surveillance of this country. He personally used to do it. And for many, many hours I sat there and fly Major General Josing doing that. And that is what we need. We need to return to the days when the Air Corps assets would be used for national security. Not for us to be penny wise and pound foolish. Now, what is the role of the Air Corps when you think about it? The first role of the Air Corps got to be in support of the troops. It got to be in support of the troops. It got to be in support of the troops to resupply them at our border locations. It got to be in support of the troops to change them over when their time comes to be changed over. And then the troops got to, the Army Air Corps got to be also providing an airborne platform in support of ground forces operations both for the police and the Army. An airborne platform to give the police a broader view of an operational area, and the Army, whether it's fighting crime, looking after or supporting the Army in any kind of ground operations. That got to be high on the priority of the Army Air Corps. And then border patrols. We have to be patrolling our borders every day. We have to be segmenting the country. Country's a large country. Segmenting this country. And our Army Air Corps need to be out there patrolling this country every day, different segments of it, every day, 365 days a year, along with our fishing zones.
He noted that their main priority appears to be making money, or at least attempting to do so.
They've lost focus, and as a result, our police is out there without airborne support, our ground forces, the Army is out there without ground, and thus we have brave men and women in the police and the Army doing extraordinary things. And to have the Army Air Corps absent when they need them. And you see, if we keep using these airplanes to do kiteshore flights and Orinduk flights and competing with the private sector, when we need those planes, the planes' hours are going to be gone, because the parts of aircraft is an expendable item. You utilize, you burn up the hours of the engines, you burn the hours of the propellers, you burn up the parts of the aircraft. You utilize pilots can only fly so many hours in any 24 hours. Can only fly so many hours in any week, so many hours in every month, so many hours in every year. So if you have these pilots out there wasting that hours, those legal times that they could legally be flying in doing commercial operations, when you need them to be flying in the middle of the night, when you need them to be flying long hours in support of the ground troops, they've gone over the legal limits, and now they're operating in a danger zone.
The pilot with decades of experience feels that this latest incident just illustrates a lack of comprehension of the overall need for proper national security.
The Air Corps is a very important component part of that puzzle, part of that whole makeup of our national security mechanism and machinery. And for us to be, in my view, continue the misuse of that precious asset. You know, look at the helicopter. The helicopter came up just after the bank robbery in Rose Hall. And the helicopter was extremely important in support of those troops during that operation. Shortly after, the helicopter went back into commercial operation. Helicopter had a problem. Helicopter is sitting on the ground. I understand they built, and this is what I was made, they built a shed over the helicopter, somewhere out in the savannas, and the shed blew down and break up the helicopter fall. This is an extremely precious piece of equipment. We built a shed over this helicopter. The helicopter became unserviceable. Left it out in the field, put a shed over it, and the shed blew down and damaged the blade of the helicopter fall. And every time this happened, what I'm afraid of is as we call on the government to give the Army Air Corps the tools, that when you give them the tools, that they then turn to use those tools in competition with the private sector, rather than understand that any tool that you give the Army Air Corps is to do with national defense and security, preservation of our national security, enhancing the capability of our forces. Our forces should never be going into any kind of operation without airborne support.
He stressed again that the Air Corps should not be competing against the private sector.
And the policymakers are sitting back and think it's funny and making comments like the private sector can't take competition, which is crazy, Level the playing field. You can't be taking military assets that are here to protect our country, to make sure that we could continue to live in peace, and we're not taken over by drug dealers and gun runners and people infiltrating our country. I want to know that our army is properly equipped and they have the tools to take care of our territorial integrity, so that I can conduct my business in a safe manner. I want to know that our children could go to school safe. I want to know that we have put, that road coming from Latham. We should be in high mode and planning to start dealing with the new security threats that road will bring to us. And that road will need to have a patrol back and forth in it. That road will need to have airborne support. You can't be patrolling it by the land alone. You need to be looking at the access points to that road where bandits could access that road and get away from and assault people in that road and get out. But you need to do that from the air. You can't be, come on, this is 2007. And if we don't have the technical competence, that's important. Let's get it from the private sector, because we have a lot of technical competent people in this country, but we're not using it. We want to be jack of all trades.
Paul McCallum reporting for the Evening News.